Welcome to Narrative and Beyond with Michael Adekombi. Today we are starting another edition entirely that is very powerful. It's loaded already. And today I have a very powerful professional here, and he's a professor. You will learn a lot from him today as we progress in this session. His name is Professor Olufemi Adebeshi. That's his name. And meet my guest today, Professor.
Good afternoon. Thank you. It's great to be on this platform.
Okay, before all the titles, the accolades, what's your childhood like growing up? Can you give us a bit of background before all the titles, the professor, before you became, director, at Landmark University, before you moved to Hillside, before all those things that people know you for in the public space? Who are you from your childhood? How was it?
Thank you. I am Babatunde Olufemi Adebeshi. If you call me Babatunde or Tunde, that means you actually know me from home, from cradle, from the beginning. The people who met me along the line, maybe in school, in other places, they knew me as Femi. So I may say ironically that it's actually my mom alone that calls me today and her friends, while my dad calls me Femi.
Wow.
So if I hear that name today anywhere, that meant that that person knew me right from the cradle. Now, my life, starting as a young Femi, I was born into a family of 6. I have siblings.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and my parents are both from Abeokuta, that's Pa Julius and Madam Anike Olufemi Adebeshi. That name, my dad bears Olufemi. My mom bears Olufemi. Yes.
Oh, really? Wow.
Exactly. So when the three of us write our name, people used to believe that it's a compound surname, Olufemi Adebeshi.
Okay? Oh, I see.
It was a separate name from the three of us as individuals. Now, starting as a young Femi, all my primary and secondary school education, I had them in Ibadan. My primary at Abiola Jacobs Primary School at Okefoko in Ibadan. And I proceeded to Ibadan Boys High School. And from there, I went for my degree at the University of Ilorin. Now, growing up, I'm someone that, right from the onset, I believe in, things of God, and modesty was part of me then. Modesty was part of me. And I was just doing my things my way. I grew up with a mindset that other people are following a particular path does not simply imply that you should follow too. You should find your own path and follow after it. And it has really helped me in life. And one other thing, let me just mention this, is that my surname, Adebeshi, like I used to tell people, Adebeshi had actually helped me a lot, because with that name, Ade, in those days, when you want to sit in the classroom, it is according to your surname. So most often I will be the first or the second student on the roster. So if you want to beat the whole class, I'll be the first one you will beat. If you want to discipline the class, I'll be the first one. When it got to the period of my first degree defense, I was the first one. They said, we are going to have 15 minutes. But eventually they ended up spending about 2 hours on me alone. So I'm not a scapegoat with that surname, but it has actually helped me in life, because it has enabled me to always prepare ahead of others, because I knew that by the time we want to do anything, I may likely be the first person they will call to the front. So it has actually shaped my life, and all glory be to God today. So in summary, my childhood life is a nice one. You know, going to school, coming back, you know, those days you trek to school. My school is up to about
True.
4 kilometers, and from home you trek, you know, and by the time you come back, the whole uniform is dirty. You know, I remember in my primary school we were wearing white over green, and in my secondary school we were wearing white. You can imagine what that symbolized. So it has actually shaped my thinking. You know, white, you don't get ruffled. White,
That's
you
true.
don't play anyhow. And maybe in the course of this interaction, I'll tell you some of my experiences as a student in the secondary school. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's actually the next question I wanted to ask. Are there happenings, events, things that you remember about your secondary school, especially because at times in secondary school, people can be, all of us were naughty to an extent, you know. I recall that the first secondary school I attended was white on white. Your trouser is white, your shirt is white, and we're using red tie, and it must be sparkling clean, because if it's dirty, there was a particular teacher that would inspect. You are sure that you will receive some beating that day. You know, so we want to play at the same time. We want to be neat because you don't want to get strokes of cane, you know. So are there things, or were there things in secondary school, for instance, that actually shaped your character that you can recall? Are there events that are very notable that you can see as influence the man you have become today?
Okay. Thank you. Well, let me start by saying that my first day in my secondary school, it was an experience. First and foremost, those days, Ibadan Boys High School, people believe that it's only the students who are not well behaved that go to that school. So they say, you know, what they call literally indisciplined set of students. But it wasn't like that. I was actually given admission to Okebola Comprehensive High School. It was new then. And my dad decided that this is a school that I wanted to attend, apart from the fact that it was closer to our house. So when people noticed that my dad made that change, they, you know, they were all around him, calling him names that you want this your child to go and become something else in that school. The school is notorious for this, for that, and for that. And he said he knew what he's doing. So my first day in school, you know, a young boy, I went with a ball. As I entered into the classroom, someone seized my ball. That was the first thing.
Your
Said,
football.
do you come to school to come and play football? So it was seized. The second thing, I saw someone coming with a belt, and he said, just kneel down there. Few hours later, maybe about 2 hours after, I realized that it was actually a new student like me. They just took advantage. Then the third thing, I will never forget that experience. We called someone, it was later I knew his name. We call him Senior Abella. He was in class 5 then. And he just called me. He said, bring your mouth. I want to urinate. And there and then, I was now
Wow.
wondering, what kind of a school is this? So as he was about talking out his, you know, something told me that if he should try it, you should cut his prick. You should cut it. If you should put it in your mouth to urinate.
Wow.
Then and maybe something ministered to him, and he said, Tiemo, one may want to do it now, again your jet. You know, literally meaning that I may want to do it now, and you put your, you know. So he rescinded
And bite it off.
from that action. And I said, God save you. When I got home, I told my dad, I told my mom, I said, this is not a good experience. I don't want to go to that school again. And my dad said, you still have to go. But so that was the first challenge. I took it upon myself that I'm going to be bold, that whatever comes my way in that school, I'm face it, challenge it, and come out of it. So along the line, now we're having this debating society. It actually helped me. I don't know whether they are still doing that today. Because right from class one, I began representing the whole arm of class one. When we got to class two, I was representing, and people were beginning to notice me. And in my school, we every Friday is a Labor Day where you need to go and clear the bush and all of that. And this senior, they were, they are not friendly. They beat a hell out of you. As I was getting to class three, and I began to represent the school in literary debate and the quiz competitions, going with the senior outside of the school to represent the school, I began to gain respect of the teachers, respect of the seniors. And that was actually what actually helped me from all those beating and, unimaginable stress.
The bullying.
Exactly. So right from class three,
the bullying
began to respect me. So on Fridays, when they are bullying others, I will just be in the classroom reading. They will say, oh, we know you are going to represent us, so continue to read. We won't disturb you, and all of that, and all of that. So I was able to graduate from that secondary school. So it was quite an
wow.
So two things I gained from that school is boldness, number one, and number two is to be self-sufficient on your own, not relying on anybody because you don't know from which part the seniors may come from. There was this particular experience that I will never forget. They will say that students of Ibadan Boys High School went outside to go and distort and disturb inter-house sports activities of other schools, not knowing that it was done single-handedly by one notorious student. We call him Dadagbana. When I was in class 4, Dadagbana was in class 3, and one day we took, we were in class 5, Dadagbana was in class 3. We took the football of the class 4 students and we were playing during the break time. You can imagine, the whole class 4 now went to report the class 5 students to Dadagbana, who happened to be in class 3. Dadagbana was now coming. The ball was on my leg then. I just noticed that my other colleagues in class, they were leaving.
They ran away.
One after the other because of the fear of Dadagbana. So by the time he got to me, he said, senior, I didn't know you were the one. Please continue playing. So I was shivering too because of what we've been hearing about it. But because of that respect that staff, teachers, and students used
for your brilliance.
Yes, even himself, he gave me that respect and said, oh, I'll come for the ball tomorrow in your class and all of
that. What an experience. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Are there things from your background that actually stirred your interest to physics, to sciences?
Okay.
Or how did you get into physics, into science, and you became a key researcher today, globally?
Okay. All right. Thank you. For science, I would say I saw myself as a scientist right from childhood. But to physics, initially, it was not planned. Initially, it wasn't planned. Let me say this. If you are able to lay hand on my inaugural lecture, which I had in April 2022, April 29, 2022, as the 7th inaugural lecturer of Landmark University then. In my write-up, I wrote something. I said, sometimes in the evening time, I'll be beside mom and dad. My other senior siblings, they've moved out of the house to school and all of that. So I was close to my parents. And in the evening, I'll be asking my mom, Mom, why is the sky far from us? The mom will say, oh, those days, the sky was within our reach. But each time that men, when they finish eating, they will use the sky to clean their hand. And because of that, God was now meeting. So I never knew that I was being prepared for a field of specialization. So I will sit at times, Mom, Dad, why is the sun far away from us? Why is the moon coming? I never knew that God is preparing a way for me in a specialized field. Okay, so eventually, when I finished secondary school and I was to pick JAM, and my parents, they actually wanted me to read medicine. My teachers in school, they believed that I would be better off in quantity surveying. My colleagues in school saw me as an architect. Okay, physics was never part of it at all. But after writing the JAM and picking University of Ilorin, and I was short of the JAM score to read medicine. Then I was lucky. A lot of things were now put in front of me. Now, okay, these are the list of courses that you can pick from. I remember the admission officer then telling me that you can pick from biochemistry, microbiology, anatomy, geology, and all of that, and physics inclusive. He now said, which one would you like to pick? So personally, as a young boy, I remember that I do not have a physics teacher. I do not have a regular physics teacher. So while I was preparing for JAM and while I was preparing for WAEC, I read it on my own. And it gave me some tough time. And I told myself that I needed to do a course that would challenge me. And that was how physics came. So I had the opportunity of picking from about 12 alternatives then, but I want something that would challenge me. So physics came, and I wasn't yet satisfied. So when I started with physics at University of Ilorin as an undergraduate 100-level student, I was now thinking of navigating to engineering because I believe I could excel in any field. So I now went to my head of department that, sir, I'm one of your new students. What will it take for me to move to engineering? And I said, okay, you need to pass all your courses. You need to be ahead of the class, maybe among the first 3 in the class. So I held on to that and I went to write the exams. And at the end of the day, I was among the first 3.
Wow.
You know, joyfully, I went to my HOD and to my disappointment, I can't forget that word. He said, young man, we don't release our best students. So I moved to 200 level physics. And so after the end of the 200 level, he called me again. He said, now, if you want to go to engineering, electrical specifically, he said, you can now go, but you have to go and repeat 200 level. And now look at it. If I have to repeat 200 level in engineering, I will spend 200, 300, 400, 500, 4 years.
To 500.
Now,
yeah.
Exactly. So 4 additional years. Now, I am in 300 level physics. I have only 2 years. Why don't I finish it and go straight for my master's? So that was what informed my decision to go for master's right from 200 level. So by the time I was having my master's, those that were in engineering, they were just about graduating. And that
wow, really? Wow, wow. Wow, so much experience you've gained, and from everything you've said, it seems
Yes,
that you were able to develop that self-awareness, that's
yes,
good self-esteem early in life.
yes, yes,
Would you say your the experience with your parents
yes.
influenced your self-awareness for you to believe so much in yourself, in your ability to have this self-esteem? Because a lot of young people these days are suffering from low self-esteem, so they are confused about life. They tend to follow just the multitude, the pack, you know. Would you say that the way you were parented, the way you were brought up by your parents influenced your self-awareness, or what do you think played major role in you developing self-awareness early in life?
Okay. Two major things. Number one, my parents. Because for any good thing you do, there is always a reward from them.
Mm,
Okay. Let me
mm,
give you an instance. In primary school, I was privileged to always come first. Okay. Now, on the prize giving day, I'll always come with dozens of prizes. So immediately I get home, I remember mom will prepare a dish of eba, and she knew that I loved the fish head. A big one for that matter, she will put inside just to celebrate that success.
that achievement.
Exactly.
Mm,
Okay. And I
mm,
remember a time that our report sheets, still in primary school, I think primary four, our report sheets wasn't ready on time. Then, despite the fact that I was coming first all the time before then, my dad sat me down and he asked a question. He said, "Femi, I hope it's not that you came second, that you didn't want us to, or you didn't want to show us your report sheets." Okay, so you could see from another angle. I said, "No, sir." And eventually, when it was released and he saw it, he celebrated it for me. It's not about
mm,
taking you out to a very where you spend a lot of money in their own little way. Okay. Then my dad will
mm,
always do something which I didn't realize then until I became a parent and I was now using it for my children too. My dad will come back from work and he will say, "Femi," and he will call my other siblings too, one after the other. "What did you do in school today?" I never knew he was using that to, follow up with our activities in school for the day.
mm,
So that really helped. So just like I mentioned, they were able to influence my self-consciousness, self-awareness, and self-determination. Then the
mm,
number two is
mm,
uh, being sensitive. I was sensitive to almost everything. I remember a time when I went to visit my senior brother, and he read a Greek. He read a Greek of blessed memory now. So we went to a farm, and one old man, after they pluck maize, and they said, "Oh, who is going to cook this one for us?" And the old man said, "Okay, your junior brother is here, go and do it for us." And I told the old man, I said, "I don't know how to do it. But if you see the way he lambasted me, said, at this your age, you don't know how to do that." So I took it in. And I told myself that day, I said, never will I say there's nothing I can do again. And let me also mention this.
mm,
One
mm,
day, I was sick. I was taken to the hospital. They gave us, drugs. So I was to take it. So my mom was pestering me to take it. And I was feeling somehow and somehow. And my dad spanked me. And I said, "Take it." Man. So I took it. At that instance, I told myself, nothing in life will ever be bitter in my mouth again. So to every event
mm,
that I found myself in, there is always something that I make out of it that, okay, for this is the way out of it. For this is the way out of it. So to my
mm,
children up to today, I used to tell them that there's nothing that can be better because I experienced it then and I told myself. So in other areas too, I learned one thing or the other, and I will tell myself that this will never be repeated again, or I will need to forge ahead over this. So my parents' influence actually helped, and being sensitive to my activities also was of great help.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. There are many students who are struggling, to excel academically,
Yeah.
Especially the younger generation, because there's just so much distraction for them. The distraction from social media, distraction from peer pressure, distraction from everywhere, distraction from even the economy as well, distraction from material display by celebrities and all of that.
Yeah.
What would be your advice to the younger generation, to the younger people who are struggling academically? What would be your advice to them? And of course,
Wow.
you've been in the academic space for many years, from Landmark University, then to Hillside as well, and then you've traveled wide, and you've seen a lot, within this space. What would be your advice to a student that is struggling, and how they can
Okay.
overcome those pressure that is impacting their academic success negatively?
All right. Let me start by saying that it's a thing of the mind. It's a thing of the mind. Let me say
Mm.
this, that a mind is like a parachute. The mind doesn't work until you open it, just like a
Mm.
parachute. The parachute can never work until you open it up. So the mind too. So the
Mm.
mindset is important. The mindset is important. Uh, Generations of today, we still interact with them in class, and quite a number of vices that they engage in has to do with the mindset. You can imagine a
Mm.
situation whereby a student was late to class, and you ask the student to stay outside for a while before being allowed in so that he or she doesn't distract others who are already attentive in class. And such a
Seated.
student
Mm.
decided to leave. So it's a thing of the
Mm.
mindset. And this menace doesn't start with the students, but rather with the home they came from. Okay?
Mm.
It has to do with the home. Many of our parents, the way we raise our children these days, well, God will help us. But now, talking
Mm.
about
Amen.
academic engagements of these students, we've seen quite a lot of them. There are a lot of things that generate or culminate into academic stress that you cannot actually help with these students. You talk about the economic meltdown. That one is there. I want to belong. I want to have an iPhone. I want to have that and all of that. Those things are there, and they want to measure up with their colleagues. And the means is not actually there, especially in this dispensation
Mm.
of Yahoo, Yahoo all around and all of that. Okay, so
Mm.
the way out is for a student in the field of academics to open the mind. Okay, they open up their mind and be focused. I used to say something that in life, success, I personally define success as when opportunity meets with preparation. Okay?
Mm.
Success is opportunity plus preparation. So many of these are young generation. They have opportunities, but they are not prepared. Those that are
Mm.
prepared
Mm.
do not have the opportunity. So it's only when you
Mm.
balance both, you are prepared for the
Mm.
opportunity that is coming, that you'll be successful in what you are doing. So They need to, like I used to tell my children, that pray hard as if you never work, and work hard as if you never pray. So when you align all of this together, and you see yourself as a being who should not rely solely on others, okay, then it will be better. I want to paint a scenario. When I was running my master's program at UI, um, um, there was this student that came to a professor. He said that, sir, what do I need to do? He applied for medicine. He was taken for medicine in a federal university, but he couldn't meet up. So he had to drop when he was going to 200 level. And because the parents actually wanted him to read medicine, he could not tell them at home. So he took another jam, went to another university, was running medicine, and he couldn't meet up again. 2 years wasted already. And
wow.
he took another jam. They couldn't pick him for medicine. So he had to come in for chemistry in one of the institutions in northern part of the country. So he was already run as a program, and he was already in 300 level, yet his mind is not settled. He now came to that professor, maybe someone referred him to, and he said, I don't know what to do. And the prof, I learned that day. I was walking beside where they were discussing, and he said, what matters most is what you make out of your results, out of
it.
exactly. He said, what matters is you and what you make out of it. It is less of what you study, the more of what you are and what you make out of it. Okay, so most of our students these days, they are looking at peer pressure is actually, taking a toll on them. However, my advice for them is be your best in what you do, and the heaven will crown your effort at the end of the day.
Thank you. I think I'll just ask one more question for this particular part, for this particular episode. Now, you are in a very specific area in your field, in the field of physics, space and radio propagation communication. What actually drew you into this kind of maybe for people like me, I would see it as a very difficult field, that is specialized, and there are very few people there all over the world. Globally, there are very few professors in this field, and you are one of them. What drew you into this kind of field? What exactly were you looking for, or are you looking for that made you to go into this kind of specialization in physics? Because physics is hard enough. Then now you are now into a very, very microcosm kind of space within that same physics.
Well, I'll say first, I'm inquisitive, okay? Because let me first define my field. The space arena, the space environment has to do with what is happening in the outer space and how it relates and affects our existence on Earth, and how do we mitigate against the natural disasters that could happen. Okay. In Nigeria, a lot of activities of space weather are not considered, and we don't actually have equipment to measure them to be able to mitigate against them in general, except you are in that field. Let me give you an instance. In 2022, April 12 to 13, we had reports from the international community that there's going to be a solar storm. A solar storm is not like the thunderstorm that you see the lightning and the flashing, okay? And some of those things, they are natural things, and they could cause a lot of damages to our telecommunication, communication, and navigation systems. Okay. Around that same time, there were power outages in Nigeria across all the geopolitical zones. And nobody could blend the two together. Okay? Not knowing that, okay, as little as 6 volts of discharge from this magnetic storm could affect our transformers. Just like in Canada, Quebec, 1989, it affected, with all their technological advancements, it affected the whole of Quebec in Canada for more than 9 hours. They were in total darkness. It's on record. It's online. Okay. So many a thing is happening in Nigeria that my field could provide solution to, but our government is actually not looking in that direction. And that's what prompted my curiosity that, okay, how do we navigate against this? If these natural disasters, if it's big enough, okay, it can damage navigational and satellite communication system. So it's that, yeah, but if we do not try to study the effects and how to mitigate against them. Now, coming back to the fact that why this area of physics? We have different areas of physics. Physics is just a mother body. We have radiation and health physics. We have atmospheric physics. We have solar physics. We have computational physics, and all of that and all of that. Okay. Why I decided to major in this is, number one, if I've had the opportunity to travel out at a younger age, then I would have gone to study aeronautic or astronautic engineering.
Oh, I see.
Now, the area of physics that is close to this is the space communication and aeronomy. And as I speak now, I am a lecturer in the Department of Aerospace Engineering in my current university.
Even though you are still the provost.
You could see the alignment. Yes. So there is something I desire. I could not get it all. What do I do to get closer to it? So that was what informed the choice of that field. And that has been a good help to me. You know, I've been opportunity to visit space research laboratories across the world. And what I could have gained being in that field that I so desire to study outside the country, I have access to all of those things.
Awesome. So there are many things that could be done in Nigeria or in Africa generally, maybe from government perspective as well, in terms of the field where you play. Do you think that maybe PPP, public-private partnership, can bring to bear some of these kind of labs that can help us to study the effect of some of these natural occurrences like the solar storm that you mentioned, and of course then provide solutions, maybe develop equipment? Do we have the capacity when it comes to human capacity to develop homegrown equipment that can help us to mitigate just in case? You know, yes, Africa is not so prone to natural disasters like that. However, it can happen as the ozone layer is wearing out and things are happening all over the world, global warming and all of that. What do you think that we should be doing as a people? You know, okay, let's say the government, you know, people in government are not even looking at that. What can we do as a people? What do you think? What would you suggest we can do as a people to create these homegrown solutions that can help us to mitigate natural disasters in case they come? You know, this question, I'm going to stop here before you give answers to that. We'll take this in the next episode, and that's what I'm thinking of asking you, so that you prepare your mind to answer that, homegrown solutions, because it's very easy in our world for people to just talk about the problems without talking about the solution. What would you propose? What would you say that we should be doing in case natural disaster happen? What should we be doing before it happens? How can we mitigate the effects on our environment, on our continent as Africa, on our nation as Nigeria? Thank you very much, Prof, for your time in this session, and then we'll continue the second episode. Thank you everyone for joining on this podcast, on this episode. I see our Professor Adibeshin here, and in the next episode, I'm going to be speaking with him. He's going to be giving us solutions to how we can mitigate natural disasters in our continent and in Nigeria specifically. All right, thank you for watching. We'll be right back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.